As I leaned on the balcony, trying to calm down, I suddenly heard footsteps behind me. Turning, I saw my mother-in-law's face twisted in anger. Before I could react, she lunged forward and pushed me down from the second-floor balcony. I lost my balance and started falling. As I fell, only one thought echoed in my mind. What will happen to the baby in my belly? They say love conquers all. But what happens when love faces a fierce rival, like a mother's stern disapproval or the shadow of a painful past? This is my story, a journey of a single mother who dared to love again, only to realize that the path to happiness is filled with trials. It's a story of emotions running high, battling judgment, and building a new beginning, all while creating a family rooted in hope and strength. My name is Natalie, a 39-year-old single mother and marketing consultant, living in the heart of vibrant Seattle. My life revolves around my 11-year-old son, Liam, who fills every corner of our cozy apartment with laughter and love. Though it's just the two of us, our bond is unbreakable, and his joy is the heartbeat of my world. Everything changed a few years ago when tragedy struck. My husband, Adam, was taken from us in a car accident, leaving a void that can never truly be filled. I still remember that night vividly. I was working late on a major client presentation when Adam tried calling me multiple times, but I was too engrossed to pick up. When I finally left the office, I was greeted at home by a police officer at my doorstep. "Ma'am, your husband has been in an accident," he said gently, yet his words shattered my world. That moment and the sense of helplessness still haunt me, but life has forced me to move forward, carrying his memory with me every day, hand in hand with Liam. One day, while at the park, fate decided to change the course of my life again. Liam was on the swings, laughing as he soared higher. I was responding to work emails when I looked up and saw him losing his grip. "Liam," I shouted, rushing forward, but before I could reach him, a man appeared out of nowhere and caught him just in time. "Are you okay, buddy?" the man asked, helping Liam down. Relief washed over me as I approached him. "Thank you so much," I gasped, catching my breath. "Don't mention it," he replied with a warm smile. He looked to be in his mid-30s, with a kind face and a calm, reassuring presence. "I'm Jack," he introduced himself. I was out for a jog and saw him having fun, so I kept an eye on him just in case. I introduced myself, grateful for his help, and we struck up a conversation. Jack shared that he was a software engineer working nearby. Something about his easygoing nature put me at ease, and I felt comfortable sharing my story with him, explaining how I was navigating life as a single mom. Jack's kindness felt genuine, and we continued talking as we watched Liam play. After that day, Jack became part of our lives. What started as occasional conversations at the park soon turned into dinners together, and before long, our outings became a regular part of our routine. Liam quickly grew attached to Jack, looking up to him like a father figure, and I couldn't deny that my own feelings for Jack were deepening with each passing day. His presence slowly mended my broken heart, and I began to feel something I hadn't felt in years: happiness. One afternoon, Jack took us to the zoo. Watching Liam's excitement as he marveled at the animals made my heart swell with joy. As I stood there, lost in the moment, Jack gently took my hand. "Natalie," he began, looking at me with warmth, "you and Liam have brought so much joy into my life. I want to be with both of you, always." Tears welled in my eyes. "You make me happier than I ever thought I could be again," I whispered. In that moment, standing hand in hand, I felt like I had found the missing piece of my life. As our relationship grew more serious, Jack suggested that I meet his mother, Alice. He often spoke of her with admiration, describing her as a retired scientist who dedicated her life to her career. Though the thought of meeting her made me nervous, I knew that if Jack was this important to me, then meeting his family was the natural next step. When we arrived at Alice's house, my heart raced. She greeted us with an elegant yet stern expression, her posture straight and her gaze sharp. "Hello, Mrs. Taylor," I said warmly, handing her a box of gourmet treats as a small gesture of goodwill. Her expression remained unreadable as she said, "Ah, you're Natalie. Come in." Her home was immaculate, with every detail perfectly arranged, reflecting her meticulous nature. As we settled on the sofa, Alice's gaze remained cold, scrutinizing me. "Jack tells me you're a single mother and that you work from home," she stated with a hint of disapproval. I smiled, replying, "Yes, I'm fortunate to have a career that allows me to balance work and raising Liam." She pressed her lips into a thin line, muttering, "Working from home, how stable could that be?" Jack defended me, but Alice's expression stayed icy, dismissing my efforts to connect. Even when Liam sweetly tried to engage her, she replied coldly, "I am not your grandmother." The rest of the visit was tense, and I left feeling hurt and unsure about my future with Jack. Despite Alice's disapproval, Jack and I grew closer. A few weeks later, during a quiet dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, Jack reached across the table and took my hands. "Natalie," he began with a soft, sincere gaze, "being with you and Liam makes me feel whole. I want us to build a life together. Will you marry me?" He opened a small velvet box, revealing a delicate ring. Overcome with emotion, I nodded, tears of joy filling my eyes. "Yes, Jack, I'd love to marry you," I whispered, barely able to contain my happiness. We were thrilled to start planning our future together, but as we made wedding arrangements, Alice's interference only intensified. She critiqued everything, from the guest list to the wedding venue, even insisting on choosing my wedding dress. One afternoon, while I was trying on a gown I loved, Alice arrived unexpectedly at the boutique, her presence as sharp as ever. "That dress doesn't suit you at all," she said flatly, her tone filled with disdain. "Pick something more refined." Before I could respond, Jack stepped in, his voice calm but firm. "Mom, please, let Natalie choose the dress she wants." But Alice was relentless. "A wedding reflects the family's reputation, Jack. My input should be considered." Overwhelmed by her demands, I ended up choosing a dress that met her approval, even though it wasn't my first choice. As we left the boutique, Jack squeezed my hand apologetically. "I'm so sorry, Natalie," he whispered. "No matter what, you'll be the most beautiful bride." It wasn't just the dress. Alice interfered in every aspect of the wedding, trying to control every detail. What was supposed to be an intimate celebration of our love felt like a constant battle against her relentless demands. Jack did his best to shield me from the stress, but the weight of it all was beginning to take a toll on both of us. Amidst the chaos of wedding planning, Jack and I also began searching for a home. We wanted a place where we could raise Liam and, hopefully, future children. After weeks of searching, we finally found the perfect house, a cozy home with sunlit windows, a spacious living room, and a yard where Liam could play. As we stood in front of the house, my heart filled with joy. "Jack, this is it. This is the home where we can build our future," I said, hugging him tightly. He smiled, sharing in my excitement. But predictably, when we showed the house to Alice, her reaction was dismissive. "This house is too small," she said, frowning. "There's hardly enough space for guests, and it's hardly big enough if you plan on having more children." Trying to keep my composure, I explained, "Alice, this house is perfect for us. It gives us everything we need to focus on what truly matters, our family's comfort." But Alice scoffed, her gaze cold. "Of course you'd choose a place like this. Unworthy of Jack," she snapped. "You should be looking for something that reflects his status." Her words stung, bruising my spirit, but Jack did his best to calm her. Still, the familiar frustration rose within me, realizing that no matter what we chose, it would never satisfy her. Jack's unwavering support gave me strength, yet Alice's disapproval cast a shadow over the future I envisioned with him. Determined to press on, Jack and I managed to navigate through her objections and moved forward with our plans. Finally, our wedding day arrived. It was a small, intimate ceremony, just as we had dreamed. Liam looked adorable as the ring bearer, walking proudly down the aisle in his little suit. Watching him filled me with pride, and as I made my way toward Jack, my heart swelled with joy. In that moment, surrounded by our loved ones, I knew that this was the beginning of something beautiful. Our own little world, built on love and resilience, would be our strength as we faced whatever challenges lay ahead. A few months into our marriage, I received wonderful news. One morning, feeling a strange flutter of excitement, I approached Jack with a smile. "Jack," I whispered, "I think I might be pregnant." His face lit up with joy. "Natalie, that's incredible," he exclaimed, pulling me into a tight embrace. We wasted no time visiting the doctor, who confirmed the happy news. "Congratulations," the doctor said warmly. "You're 6 weeks along, and everything looks healthy." Sharing the news with Liam was magical. "Liam, guess what?" I said, grinning. "You're going to be a big brother. There's a baby on the way." Liam's face lit up, his excitement contagious. "Yay, I can't wait to meet the baby," he shouted, bouncing with joy. Filled with happiness, Jack decided to call Alice to share the news, hoping that the arrival of a grandchild might bring her around. "Mom," he said, his voice filled with excitement, "Natalie is pregnant. You're going to be a grandmother." However, Alice's reaction was far from what we hoped. "Are you sure she's pregnant?" she asked coldly. Jack's smile faltered. "Mom, of course she's pregnant. The doctor confirmed it," he replied, exasperated. Her tone turned sharp. "She must be trying to trap you. I bet she's faking the pregnancy to get your money." Anger flashed across Jack's face. "That's not true, Mom. Natalie loves me, and we're starting a family together," he insisted, but Alice's disdain only deepened. "You're being deceived, Jack. That woman is cunning. I can't believe you're falling for this." Frustrated, Jack hung up the phone, his face filled with regret. "Natalie, I'm so sorry," he said, taking my hands. "She doesn't believe you're pregnant, but I know the truth. Don't worry, we'll get through this together." In the following days, strange things began to happen. While I was out shopping, I started feeling an eerie sense that someone was watching me. At first, I brushed it off as my imagination, but the feeling persisted, growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, I confided in Jack, my voice uneasy. "Jack, I think someone's following me." Jack's brow furrowed with concern. "I've noticed it too," he admitted. "That's why I asked a friend, a private investigator, to look into it." Just then, Jack's phone rang. It was the investigator. "Jack, I have news," they said on the other end. "It turns out your mother hired someone to follow Natalie." Jack was stunned. "What? My mother hired someone to follow her?" "Yes," the investigator confirmed. "She wanted to keep an eye on Natalie's activities." Jack's face was filled with disbelief as he looked at me, guilt evident in his expression. "Natalie, I'm so sorry. I had no idea she would go this far." I stood there speechless, my legs feeling weak beneath me. "Why?" I whispered, struggling to make sense of it. "Why would she do this? I haven't done anything wrong." Jack pulled me into a tight embrace, his voice filled with determination. "What my mother did is unforgivable. I won't let anyone hurt you." That evening, Jack confronted Alice, his anger evident. "Mom, why did you have Natalie followed? She's done nothing to deserve this." Alice remained defiant. "I had to know if she was really pregnant," she said coldly. "That woman can't be trusted." Jack's voice shook with emotion. "Your prejudice is tearing us apart. Natalie is my wife and the mother of my child. You need to accept that." But Alice's expression remained steely. "I will never accept her," she said firmly. "She'll ruin your life, Jack." Despite her relentless disapproval, Jack and I clung to the hope that we could still find peace and happiness together. But as my pregnancy progressed, we knew that this conflict was far from over. As my pregnancy progressed into the second trimester, Jack suggested inviting Alice over for dinner in one last attempt to make peace. Natalie, this could be our chance, Jack said, his tone hopeful. Let's show her the life we're building, and maybe, just maybe, she'll finally accept us. I nodded, willing to try. You're right, Jack. I want things to be better for Liam, the baby, and for us. That evening, I prepared a warm dinner, hoping to set a positive tone. When Alice arrived, I greeted her at the door with a polite smile. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Taylor. Let's enjoy this dinner together, I said, trying my best to welcome her. Alice's expression, however, remained cold and distant. I'm sure you're up to something, she muttered under her breath as she stepped inside, her words sharp enough to pierce the air. Throughout the meal, she continued with her relentless questions, her skepticism thinly veiled. Are you really pregnant, Natalie? She asked, narrowing her eyes as if she could see through me. You barely even look like you're showing. I fought to stay calm, though her words stung. Yes, the baby is healthy and growing well. It just isn't noticeable yet, I replied, hoping to ease her suspicions. But Alice's lips curled in disdain. I wonder if you're lying, she said, her voice dripping with accusation. Trying to trick Jack into giving you money. Her cruel words cut deeper than I expected. Before I could respond, Jack slammed his hand on the table, his voice filled with anger. Mom, stop it. Quit insulting Natalie. The room fell into an uneasy silence, and the rest of the dinner passed tensely. By the end, I was emotionally drained. Jack, I need some fresh air, I whispered, stepping out onto the second-floor balcony, hoping the cool night air would help calm the storm of emotions swirling within me. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me, and Alice's voice, sharp and unforgiving. I will never approve of you, Natalie, she said coldly. You're not good enough for Jack. I turned to face her, my voice soft but pleading. Mrs. Taylor, I love Jack with all my heart. Please, give us a chance. But her face twisted with rage. I've had enough of your lies, she screamed, her eyes blazing as she advanced. Before I could react, she shoved me hard, sending me over the balcony's edge. I felt a rush of air and a sudden painful impact as I hit the lawn below, darkness closing in around me as I struggled to remain conscious, clinging to one desperate thought. I had to protect the baby. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a bright hospital room. My body ached and the world felt hazy, but I was alive. As I tried to move, I saw Jack sitting beside me, his face filled with relief and sorrow. Natalie, you're awake, he said softly, taking my hand gently. Where am I? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. You're in the ICU, Jack explained gently. My mom, she pushed you off the balcony. You were unconscious when the paramedics arrived, and the doctors had to perform an emergency C-section to save you and the baby. Panic gripped my heart. Is the baby okay? I gasped, fearing the worst. Jack's smile softened, his eyes filling with a mixture of relief and love. She's safe. Our baby girl is healthy and beautiful. Tears of relief streamed down my face. I want to see her, I whispered, overwhelmed with gratitude and a fierce need to hold my daughter. Jack pressed the nurse's call button, and moments later, a nurse entered the room, bringing in a small bassinet. She gently lifted our daughter and placed her in my arms. As I held her tiny hand, an overwhelming wave of love washed over me. Welcome to the world, little Ella, I whispered, her name coming to me instinctively in that precious moment. Jack leaned in, pressing a tender kiss on our daughter's forehead, his gaze filled with warmth and pride. As I cradled Ella in my arms, peace and gratitude filled my heart. She was safe, and for that, I would be forever thankful. But a lingering worry remained as I looked at Jack. What about your mother? I asked, my voice trembling as the weight of her actions settled over me. Jack's expression darkened, his voice firm. She's been arrested for attempted murder, Natalie. She'll face trial for what she did to you and our daughter. I nodded, absorbing the gravity of the situation. Holding Ella closer, I whispered, "Right now, all that matters is that we're together." Jack squeezed my hand gently, his gaze full of determination and reassurance. "We'll let the courts handle the rest, Natalie. I won't let anyone harm you or our family again." Alice's trial became a highly publicized event, with headlines capturing the shocking details. When the day of her sentencing came, Jack and I sat together in the courtroom, my hand tightly gripping his as we awaited the verdict. Alice showed no remorse, her face a mask of bitterness as she attempted to justify her actions. "That woman is a liar," she shouted in the courtroom, her voice sharp and venomous. "She only got pregnant to trap my son." But the evidence was overwhelming, and my testimony, along with witness accounts, painted a clear picture of her actions. After deliberation, the judge delivered the final judgment. "The defendant is hereby sentenced to 5 years in prison," the judge declared, his voice resonant and unwavering. A wave of relief washed over me as Jack helped me out of the courtroom. Reporters swarmed around us, microphones and cameras capturing every moment, but I stood tall, meeting their gaze with quiet strength. "Mrs. Turner, how you feel about the verdict?" one reporter asked, leaning forward eagerly. I held my head high, speaking clearly. "I did what any mother would do. I protected my child," I said firmly. "That's what any parent's responsibility is." Beside me, Jack held Ella in his arms, his voice filled with warmth as he added, "We'll move forward as a family, focused on love and resilience." In the months following the trial, life settled into a comforting rhythm. Jack found a renewed sense of purpose in his work, now free from the weight of family conflict. I juggled my business and caring for our family, rediscovering a joy and peace that I had almost forgotten was possible. One evening, Liam burst into the living room, his face alight with excitement. "Mom, Ella just took her first steps," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with pride. I hurried to the living room, my heart swelling as I watched our little girl, now a year old, take wobbly steps toward me on her tiny feet. "Ella, you're walking," I cried, scooping her up and covering her with kisses, tears of happiness filling my eyes. Later, when Jack came home, I shared the exciting news, and his face lit up with pride as he knelt beside Ella, ruffling her hair. "Good job, little one. You'll be running marathons before we know it." As we embraced our children, our hearts overflowed with gratitude for the family we had built, a family that had endured trials and emerged stronger. Gazing out the window at the golden evening light, I felt a deep peace, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, hand in hand. Thank you for joining Natalie's journey of love, resilience, and hope. When we face challenges from those who are supposed to support us, it takes courage and strength to rise above. Natalie found her happiness by standing firm for her family, proving that true love and resilience can overcome even the toughest trials. What did you think of Natalie's story? Would you have done anything differently in her place? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know your favorite moment from Natalie's journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more powerful stories about love, strength, and the incredible courage it takes to build a better future.